There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
Our perspective is yours for the taking, but you'll have to join us first. We left everything we debated at the Yonko table.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the Grand Line, searching for the Yonko table, the table that will make their dreams come true.
Yayo, folks. Welcome to the latest and the greatest from the Yonko table. That is the voice of Grandmaster Hoop coming to you from the backs of the fleet of Driftmark, the greatest fleet in the Seven Kingdoms, because I represent in House Velaryon. It's the Yonko table, and we're covering House of the Dragon, episode 8, promptly titled The Lord of the Tides. That's right, folks. We're back to talk about House of the Dragon, and boy, oh boy, did they give us an episode last night. With me, as always, is fellow Yonko, Dr. Jace Attorney. Dr. Jace Attorney, what matters to you, the history books or the blood?
From whose perspective? A Velaryon, Corlys, or I don't know who else is there.
Vaemon. You could just say Vaemon.
Vaemon. You're right. Vaemon has the opposite perspective. Vaemon's got a point, man. Vaemon's tired of these games. That's his whole shtick in this episode. He's willing to call out shit like right there in front of everyone's face. It's like, I don't care, man. I'm not doing this. And he paid the ultimate price for it. But I think he'll be remembered for willing to stick it to those Targaryens. He wanted to say what no one was willing to say to their face. And for better or worse, he died a prideful man. Funny enough, I think it's the after credits or the inside look after the episode. The actor that plays Vaemon, he made it a point to emphasize, notice how he got me when my back was turned. Notice. He could never. But I think this episode was fantastic. Multiple great moments, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Rightfully so. And we are not alone on our journey tonight to talk about the dramatic irony here in the Lord of the Tides. We have some supernovas joining us. I'm sure they have much to say on the topic. Let's hear who will be joining us tonight here at the table. All right, let's get into this. I mean, that's what it is, folks. It's the history books versus the bloodline. And I think that definitely sets up this episode great. This is just a great episode. I don't know. I would like to now just dub this show Family Feud. That's all this is. We got the Targaryens on our right, and we got some Targaryens on our left with House Velaryon in the high towers. Give me Alicent. Give me Rhaenyra. That's what it is, folks. It's just a freaking back and forth amongst family. Mary J. Blige, Family Affair. That was about this. This is what it is. Are y'all feeling similar about the greatness of this episode, Dr. Rika, Nino Desplazado?
Yeah, I think so. This episode really, I thought last week was a great episode, you know, give or take some scenes I couldn't see. But this episode, I was like, oh, you keep putting it up. You keep putting it up there. So I'm really happy, like, especially since it seems that I was worried that the season would take a downturn, especially with a whole new cast, or maybe once they introduced the new cast, the rest of seeing them wouldn't be as high. This show proved that the best was still coming. I'm excited to see what's going to happen going forward.
Yeah, I agree. This probably had, I imagine we will get to it, probably had one of my favorite moments of the season thus far. And yes, I think it had everything that makes Game of Thrones. of the family infighting and the quick-wittedness and desperation and plotting behind backs and violence that you don't expect, and all the various things I think that are connected to the show seem to come out in this episode. And I think it all came together in a way that pulled me in, definitely. So.
And you know what? I'll even say something contrary, but also agreeing with you. I think this episode has finally proved to me that this show is more than Game of Thrones Part 2. I think this is the episode that proved to me that this is completely something different. That we're dealing with something different, and I'm okay with that, and I can move forward with that.
No, I like that point too. That you have the elements that make it familiar, but it can stand on its own. And you have these characters that really stand out as I think we've said it across. I think the show's trying to do its best to get us to root for maybe one side, but at the same time, lots of folks are really sketchy, and so it makes for some interesting watching.
It definitely does. I think this episode really emphasizes why House of the Dragon can stand on its own away from, the original Game of Thrones, just because all we really have here is just one family split off from one's an uncle, the other one's a nephew's cousin, stepfather is also your brother. It's a mess. It's a mess that we like, but I think it's just so interesting where compared to the original Game of Thrones, you had all these different factions spread across all of Westeros. You had some people to the north, some people on the wall, some people at King's Landing, and eventually all these stories would have converge on each other. But for House of the Dragon, it's really just one family tree bickering amongst each other, but it's still good. It's still really good. I think, and obviously it came to a boiling point this week's episode. So, yeah, House of the Dragon, I'm here for it. I'm surprised we have 2 episodes left, honestly. I thought we would only get 8. Got 10.
Got 10, man. They said we're never going back to a short order season again after the follies of 7 and 8. But yeah, it's all the elements that make Game of Thrones great spread amongst this one family. So that makes it very interesting to watch. Everybody represents a different faction, as you said, of Game of Thrones, but it's just all in one family, and it's so toxic and it's so juicy and it's so messy. It's just so engaging. Ambition, who has brought down on us calamity after calamity. It really seems things have just continuously have gotten worse for this one family and its many factions. And yeah, people are fed up. Vaemon Velaryon, the second son of Driftmark, is pissed and he ain't with it. He wants to be the ruler of Driftmark. It's his blood right. And that is the beauty of Game of Thrones. He is completely in the right. He's a dick, but he's right. And it's I'm not rooting for Vaemon at all, but he is absolutely right. I feel for him. I got y'all some quotes. You rather see our bloodline snuffed out, supplanted by the pups of House Strong. I feel you, man. I feel you. That sucks. Your brother's on death's door, and your birthright, which should be yours, which is a common theme throughout this series as in House of the Dragon, just kind of birthright, succession, choice. They should don't call this Game of Thrones Part 2, call this Succession, the other hit HBO show. That's what you could call this.
It's funny because these events are apparently based on the British Succession, so you're halfway there.
Oh, look at that. Lovely.
I was gonna say, you were talking about how there's this common theme of like birthright. I think a lot of what was happening in this episode reminded me of like the Baratheons and what we saw with Stannis and what he frequently stood for during his time on the original series. Yeah, those connections.
Yes, very much so. Baratheons is a good comparison. Renly just stepping over his brother and saying, I should be king, again, it's all great. It's all here too. And it works. Vaemon is in the right. Is anybody here team Vaemon? Like, do you ever find yourself just being like, you got it, dude. You should be the Lord of the Tides.
I mean, I guess in this scenario, yeah, he's not wrong. Those aren't Corlys's grandbabies, and everyone knows it. But then you get Corlys, reiterating from last week's episode. It's not about bloodline; it's about name. I want the name I don't care if those aren't my grandkids. I want the name Velaryon to carry on, to potentially be either ruler of Driftmark or ruler on the Iron Throne. But that name needs to be powerful because my own son, Laenor, supposedly birthed those kids. But he did it. He did it. And Corlys knows this. And Vaemon's not having it. Vaemon disagrees with Corlys completely, and he makes it a point to bring it up to Rhaenys in the beginning of the episode, saying, listen, you and I both know your husband and my brother are full of shit. For the love of God, do not give that throne to those kids because they're not ours. They're not related to us in any way. Or at least the Velaryons, they're not related to Velaryon. I guess they're technically related.
They're Targaryen.
Yeah, they technically are. But Vaemon's got a point. I don't blame Vaemon for being pissed because his literal bloodline is going to be snuffed out should who was it, Lucerys or
Lucerys, yeah.
Lucerys was the one that was going to inherit Driftmark. If he inherits Driftmark, it's over. Velaryons are no more. And actually, were there Velaryons in Game of Thrones?
So I pointed this because I'm reading Clash of Kings right now. Velaryons are around. I do not think they're at the height of their power like they are here. Like,
okay,
right. I think if you talk about right now, the biggest, like in the current main Game of Thrones timeline, I believe the biggest fleet probably goes to the Iron Islands, I guess. I don't know.
Like the Greyjoys?
Yeah, the Greyjoys, right.
Okay.
Velaryons rule the sea. I don't think
that's
so.
No longer a thing.
During the War of the Five Kings. No, I don't think that they're even a factor. That's how they are literally being written out of history.
Same with the High Towers.
Same with the High Towers, right? Hardly mentioned at all.
But they are mentioned in Clash of Kings? Okay.
Well, I know Velaryons were mentioned in Clash of Kings.
Okay.
Because their land is still relatively closer to Dragonstone, to the east. So Stannis was trying to rally Velaryons to his side.
Okay.
But they were considered a small house.
Right.
Like they're not as great as they used to be. So
and I think
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think the interesting part of being able to watch something like this that happens in the past compared to the original timeline that we'd seen for so many years is that we get to have that comparison of where folks were throughout history and how things have shifted. Because I think the big players within this show are no longer big players when we get to the original series.
Ooh,
so you have the Lannisters, who we see in the series, and they are kind of high station, but don't have the same degree of power that eventually they have. Same with the Baratheons, and so they're present, and they'll be involved in some way, but not to the same degree as they are a little bit later on. So just being able to see that shift and who is at the height of their powers. But yeah, as far as the High Towers, Velaryons, not that big of a deal. compared to what they are here, the central of all the conflict, all the various things that are happening in House of the Dragon.
It's beautiful dramatic irony because literally what he worries happens, and what Corlys wanted was not the answer, at least for I don't think that's I think he wanted a whole 5 chapters and he probably gets a paragraph. So beautiful dramatic irony right there. I think Rhaenys is in the most interesting position on who to choose to support. You know, like rightfully so, she married into this house. Her children are of Valyrian blood. She's looking out again. She's the only one who really is caring about Lady Laena, her late daughter, and wanting her to have some remembrance, but also knowing too, again, dramatic irony, everybody doesn't want to say it. And it was shown in the High Council meeting, jumping a little ahead, the High Council meeting, everybody was like, what grounds does Vaemon have? And you see in that room, I think somebody called out the maester in the room, and he said, what grounds indeed? Because nobody wants to say it, that they are indeed bastards. Bastards!
Don't spoil it.
You already did it.
I didn't.
Oh, did you do it pre-show?
I did it before the shooting.
That's okay. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. It's okay.
Do they?
Yeah. If you say the word bastards, you have to say it like that.
I see.
Okay.
Continue.
So yeah, it's like Rhaenys is in a very interesting position because again, it's treason, but it's also like, who do I give my support to? My husband, who's on his deathbed, who does not care about these children and their blood ties, so long as they carry the name, or do I give it to, potentially, my daughter, my daughter's daughter, my granddaughter, my grandsire? I think she's in a very, she's the key here. She's the key, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows right now Rhaenys is the key. So it sets up this beautiful confrontation that we're gonna get. So yeah, man, it's so good. It's so good. We checking in Dragonstone. We see a happy family, a beautiful happy family. Everybody finally looks normal for once.
Looks.
Nobody's on edge. And Cyrax just gave birth to 3 eggs. This is nice. They're at peace. And then this shit comes up again. Dr. Igor, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, I don't know if we mentioned that this is 6 years later.
We have not.
Compared to last episode.
We have not. It has been 6 years. Our 6, I said 6. I don't know if this is our 6th time jump, but it might as well be.
I guess it depends what you mean by 6. Like me 6 major time jump?
6. I just said
just
6
in general.
by mistake. I said it by mistake, but it probably is the 6th time jump in this season.
Because there have been times where there were time jumps where they didn't change actors, but they said, by the way, a year's passed since that event, but everyone's exactly the same.
No, this is 6 years, and things are moving. She's had 3 kids. 3 kids with Daemon. They got busy.
They did.
Oh, 2. Oh, she got 1 on the way. Sorry.
She got 2. 1 on the way.
She got 1 on the way.
What are the names of the new ones? Viserys and
Aegon.
There's so many freaking Aegons. Oh my god.
I can't stand the name Aegon.
I cannot. The whole
This
meaning
is Aegon the Third.
Goodness.
Does that count? Does that count?
Wait.
Does he have to be? He's a third.
He's Aegon the Third.
Aegon the Third.
Because
There's the initial Aegon. There's Aegon the Second, who's the asshole we'll talk about soon, and Aegon the Third is the baby, or
So
the toddler. Okay.
So there's only been 3 Aegons so far. Like
there's been 3 Aegons, and now there's 2 Viseryses.
Right.
Well,
and
no.
we're not gonna see a third Viserys till our boy in season 1 Game of Thrones.
That's why they always say first of his name, because no one else is called by that name. I just realized.
Oh
that.
wait, we see a freaking fourth Aegon.
How do we see a
Dang.
fourth Aegon? Oh, Jon Snow.
Well, actually, I
Oh.
believe there's another Aegon before him, but I could be wrong.
Yes,
The
Duncan
name-
Egg. Duncan
Yeah.
Egg. Yeah.
The name is used
Oh,
frequently.
Yeah.
All you need
There's
to know,
actually
all that's important, is we see the second Aegon, who we'll talk about soon. The third Aegon is the toddler. And then there is another Aegon we'll talk about that's important in terms of prophecy stuff. Those are the three you just need to know of right now that's important for this episode.
everybody's trying to bend that prophecy in their favor, so it seems. At least Rhaenyra, because she's the only one who knows about it at this point. Her and Viserys. I hate to see their happiness interrupted. They look like they were doing okay. They look like they were just waiting for Viserys to, probably croak. And here they are. They gotta go to the front. And they gotta duke it out with Alicent.
Do they know that Viserys is like on death's door?
They do not.
No, they don't.
No.
They're expecting to come back and everything just be, same old, same
True.
old drama, same old business.
Interestingly enough, Vaemon knew that Alicent and Otto were making the decisions, though. He was aware that they were running things. So I guess, again, that's how they are not trying to be involved at this point. They're just waiting out for her to get the crown. And then they suck back into this fight. It sucks, but it's got to be fought. I mean, it doesn't have to be. Everybody could just admit their wrongdoings.
Damon's not wrong. He's never wrong.
Oh, of course not.
Yes.
You said Daemon?
Damon. Yes. Well, you thought I said Aemon?
No, I thought you said Vaemon.
They're all the same. Aemon, Vaemon, Damon. Good God.
Haven't you realized that Damon is just Aemond, except the D is at the end instead of the beginning?
I think I did realize that.
Oh, wow. I did not realize that.
They're
That's
not that
interesting.
creative.
They're not. It's a lot of, very uncreative with names.
And Vaemon is just a V added to Aemon.
And then Maester Aemon from the original series is just Aemond without the D.
See, they're unoriginal.
That's really, and it's not going to be helpful in terms of all the misunderstanding that's going to occur at the end of the episode. All this
No, it's not.
uncreativity with the names.
It just adds to the confusion. All right, we got to take the fight to King's Landing. So King's Landing is now under new management. House Hightower has brought the seven. It's the seven, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the religion.
Is this not? This is the first mention of the seven
No, it is not. Absolutely not.
in this series.
It's absolutely
come
not.
up.
It's come up many times. They were even praying in a monastery in episode 2.
Actually, yeah,
after-
Alicent was, right? It was in that
Alicent was
room
in the
where
whole
Rhaenyra came to her to look for comfort for
Yes.
I forgot what was going on, but
They
okay.
were praying over their mothers because
Yes.
Emma had just passed.
Right.
But
right.
the Targaryens are not practitioners of the seven.
They are
No.
not.
They are not.
They're the most similar kind of religious spiritual type that they are to the old gods, but they consider themselves to be the gods.
They
Okay.
said, we got dragons. We can
So
do
you-
whatever we want.
I mean, they got a point. Ain't nobody else can tame dragons. Only people of old Valyria.
So you
I
can
think they
imagine
have-
their shock when they get back to the castle and the decor has changed.
Correct. So now Alicent is, she practiced it before, but now she's over here repping hardcore.
Mm.
Like they turned King's Landing to the Vatican. Ooh, yes.
Oh, is that what this is?
That's what's literally happening here. I think it's
Okay.
it's good to point out. Allison is a whole new. See, everybody seems to have been at a little bit of peace until this very moment, until Vayman stirred the pot. Allison looks like she's cooled off. She turns to religion when
I don't
things
know
go
if she's
wrong.
cooled off. Whoa. Wait a minute. Whoa.
She's cooling
whoa.
off. She's
No,
cooling
let's-
off.
When you say
let's
cooling
pause
off,
there.
cooling off from where
I
we
don't
were,
think she's
where we
pulling
left her
knives.
last week.
I don't think she's pulling knives on anybody anymore.
I mean, that was a
You
heat of
know
the
what?
moment.
You know, are we just gonna ignore that Aegon is being like a serial like?
What do you mean?
R-word?
We're not there yet. Who said we're ignoring it?
I
we are
mean,
not
it
ignoring-
mentioned in the very next scene.
Well, let's get to it.
Well, you're right. We see the High Council meeting. High Towers are definitely running things. Again, no one wants to say the pink elephant in the room. And here we go. Well, we get the news of Aegon and his problems in his apartment. And, you know, getting before this episode, I know a lot of people came out and said, this is going to be a very emotional episode. I really felt emotion right here during this scene. I don't think, for example, Sansa in the original series with her sexual assault scene, I feel it was kind of for shock value, you know? Here we really get kind of, I don't know, just like a better portrayal of, a terrible portrayal, of course, but of like the act. It's bad, you know, and it made me feel some type of way.
It was still well written, I think, because you never.
No, I
see,
do agree.
Yeah, you never see it, but you also, I think the writers are very much hitting our heads on the nose with being like, yes, even though they can have this moment where Alicent is comforting this woman after something terrible happened, Alicent still has an agenda.
Mhm.
Alicent is still not a perfect person. Alicent does not give a, anything about this maid. Just for that moment, she was like, "Oh, we're here. I believe you." But who else found out?
But mhm.
No, and I mean, to build off that, I felt a sense of unease in this scene because it's been 6 years since we last left Alicent. We don't know how she is right now. I don't know what her game is in trying to comfort this maid, because part of me was thinking like, oh my God, is she just gonna just like snap the girl's neck like right then and there? Because she's asking a lot of questions about, does anyone know? But you did come over to tell me and
Sir
Eric. And it was like she was really gauging like how much this girl was willing to keep her mouth shut. And it's something where I almost half expected like Alicent to hire oh my God, the
Kristen Cole.
Laris. I have because again, 6 years. I don't know what Alicent has been partaking in during those 6 years. A part of me thought that maybe she was gonna go to Laris and, imply something like, oh, there was this maid and that my son just couldn't keep his hands off. Maybe you can take care of something. I almost expected that, but surprisingly, she didn't go that route. She still played the game. She still wanted to know what she knew, but Alicent, to a degree, was still Alicent. She tried to comfort her as best as she could, while also, playing the game of, well, damn, my son needs to stop because that's going to tarnish his name to claim the throne as well. Because if she has a kid, the maid, it's over. It's over.
I think too, I didn't anticipate any type of. I felt the tenseness, but I didn't anticipate her to like off her or order any type of death. I think previously we've seen that Alicent is actually not that beyond the wanting to take the eye out of a kid scene. She's been pretty. She kind of wants to have her cake and eat it too, whatever the phrase is. Like she wants to play the game, but only so far. which is why I anticipated what actually happened, rather than her like, okay, we're going to order this person's death. But to Nino's point as well, I guess we should also clarify what exactly happened, because I imagine people that saw the episode know. But we've had little crumbs throughout the last few episodes of Aegon being very much violent and harassing lots of the women, whether kind of within the keep, at multiple different keeps and castles, etc. And all came to a head as far as finding out that he had assaulted one of the maids who had come into his room to prepare. I guess she was saying she was bringing drinks, and then apparently we learn a little bit later she was supposed to help care for the kids and whatnot, because he does have kids. But regardless, based off of Alicent's reaction, this is not something that is new. And the interesting I find is the hypocrisy as far as like wearing the 7-pointed star and very much like changing all the tapestries that it depicts like dragon orgies to all these like religious type affiliated decorations, and then like I need to cover up my son being very violent and committing a crime. And so that's the interesting way that I find Alicent, is that she's caught up in all of this and she's trying to still figure out a way to be on her moral high ground, but there's still a lot of things that she's doing that is very much clouding a lot of that. But you could say that pretty much about every character, that they think they're in the right, or they think they're doing the right thing for their own particular position or agenda or power grab, whatever it may be. And I think this just was a very clear example of that. What I did find, and I think someone at Grandmaster, you probably brought up Sansa, I did see some of the parallels of like the conversation between, because I think she used Sweetling too with this particular maid. That it reminded me, yeah, she called her that. It reminded me of like Cersei Sansa early on in Game of Thrones, those interactions. But this felt more genuine, I will say. Like I think Alicent has moments where she is very much kind of in touch with like humane practices. However, at the same time, it's kind of what we've been talking about the whole time of like who was in her ear and who was feeding her information. She was around her father, who was trying to power grab. She's around Kristen, who is trying to power grab. She's around Lara. All the people that surround her, all these folks that are very much focused on their own agenda, that I don't think she can really create, or she doesn't have the space or autonomy to really create her own identity and who she is. So she's doing everything she can to kind of manage these areas, which I think is kind of what I find interesting about her. But I think I certainly do not condone and or support any of the decisions she made in this particular scene.
Yeah, I have a question because I think we got a very different idea of what happened. I thought she killed this girl off.
No, she gave her.
Minty.
Yeah, she gave her the after morning after.
Okay,
pill.
So
Yeah.
I get it.
No bastards.
They got her the plan T, right? But then why, when she confronted Aegon and the other maid came into the room?
That wasn't the
like-
maid. That was the daughter. That's
He knows that's not the main. I know what Nino's talking about, because it kind of had me make a double take on what Alicent really did with this maid. So what? It was
She paid
another.
her off.
She did. She
she
paid
gave
Paid
her.
her off.
she gave her the tea.
and
paid her
she's
off.
to leave.
Right.
Yeah.
To leave the Red Keep.
Oh,
Right.
to leave the Red Keep. Oh, okay.
I think the
I guess-
payment was like more of like a confirmation, like you can go, just
Yeah, like
Leave.
hush
Pay-
money.
leave.
Payment is you don't tell another person about this.
Right.
Yeah, because again, Emily Cook is the actor. Oh, I'm sorry, Olivia Cook. I think really played this scene very well. I thought this was very well acted. Just all the things that y'all said, the multifaceted sides of Alicent, very on display here. But very much, with her confrontation of Aegon, she does say, like, do you think of your sister, your wife? What is like she says, like, we're women too. And this is what you do to a woman, And yes, she covers this up and she doesn't, she hides it and whatnot. And now she's a hypocrite. But at the core of her, she is, like you said, she has all these people in her ear. But at the core still, she's like, my son is a fiend. And I still have to, prep him to be king.
She even
no matter
denounces
what.
him in a small way.
She did. She said, "You're
Yes.
no longer my son. You're
Well,
no son of mine."
Here's an interesting thing. It's funny because Alicent was very accepting of the role that she was given. When I say accepting, I mean she did it, even though she didn't like it. And even though Rhaenyra was very unaccepting and had a bunch of qualms about pregnancy, around birth, around child caring, around all these other types of things, it's funny that Alicent is never seen liking her children, and
That's a great
Rhaenyra is loving her children. Every scene that she's with them, she's always trying to protect them, always trying to guide them, always trying to like show them affection. And with Alicent, I feel like every other scene she's like hitting them. So
Or reprimanding.
I think the most you probably got from her was when she wanted to take out the other one's eye in last week's episode, because they took out
was that
Aemon's
really
eye.
protecting her child?
Oh no, it was more
was
like
that- yeah.
like,
No,
yeah,
that was
and
revenge for your child.
right.
Yeah.
So you can even debate that as like, is that really showing love for your child? Is it
Well,
though?
That's the thing. And again, this show really puts Rhaenyra and Alicent at the forefront, and watching their parallelism. Alicent did everything right, and yet she has these awful children. Well, like 2/3 awful. And, her husband is dying and decaying. Her father still is manipulating her and whatnot. While Rhaenyra gets the I mean, it's not.
Wow! Wow!
No. The Vayman in me came out. Sorry. Rhaenyra gets to live life however she sees fit, goes unpunished. I mean, does she have to, try to fend for her mistakes? Yes. But her kids seem to have come out relatively good, for the most part. Good. I say that, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but
Yeah,
it's
at
like
least right now they're not really like psychopaths.
right.
From
They-
what we've seen so far, they very well might turn into psychopaths. But for now, yeah,
Yeah,
don't-
they're good. And
they're
it's
not
like, and-
Aegons. They're not
and-
Aegons.
And Alicent I mean, jumping ahead a little bit, she, calls out the similarities between them, but it really does suck for Alicent. She's not winning, I think, at any point thus far.
And I think you all bring up kind of last week, is that protecting her children. I think it was more so about her feelings for Rhaenyra more so than, I mean, sure, the kids are a part of it, but she even said part of the dialogue, I believe in last week's episode, was about the fact that Alicent did, like you said, I did all the steps, I did everything you told me I was supposed to do, and yet I am the one who was suffering. And we got to see more of that, and I really loved that comparison of her own relationship with her children and her own like dissatisfaction with her role in her life, despite the amount of power she has amassed. Like, it still hasn't given her anything. Like, I think that's what the message is. If you have power, you're supposed to be some degree of successful, because that is typically the case for the men. Like, when you get to a certain station, you get access to certain things, and you get some autonomy and freedom, and she's not been afforded that, despite the fact that she's basically running the kingdom now. And that's angering to her. It's maddening, like, what the fuck? Like, how do I
But instead of it's interesting because instead of the stereotypical penis envy that usually the characters get written as, she goes and turns around and hates on the her
Yes.
peers.
And that is
So-
exactly what they want, though, too. That's a really wonderful point of, like, we've been talking about it the whole time. We got to see part of it too. I guess we'll get to the dinner, but they genuinely, I think, without the influence of all these like shitty men around them, they would be fine. But because we have all these folks that are influential and telling them different things, we have a system that's set up to benefit the men in the realm, they're pinned against each other. because why are they the ones fighting? And I frequently feel that way each time we get like a little glimpse of just what we saw in those, first 1 or 2 episodes of what their relationship truly was. At the core is that they care about each other and can find common ground and can really relate to one another as, women sucked up in this fucked up system. So that's a great point.
I'm gonna wrap this scene up with Aegon, as shitty as he is. He says, I feel he is a dark reflection of Alicent when he says, I try to do everything right, but I'll never be good enough for you, nor father. And I mean, like, you're still a piece of shit. However, him saying that, I feel there is some of Alicent that has made him go down such a path.
Look,
right.
If you have a shitty child, there is only one person to blame, or 2 people to blame.
Nature versus nurture.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that if Aegon was put in if Aegon was actually loved by his mother,
his father too.
No, I think Viserys loves his children, but also Viserys loves his hand and his arm, and he lost both of those, so he's just losing everything he loves.
Listen, let's check in with Grandsire Viserys. I called it last week. I said he ain't making it past next episode. Goodness
he's
gracious.
Still here.
He's here. He's here. He's just, God, I would hate to be him.
This is it.
No, this is one of the moments where I audibly gasped. I was taken aback by just how bad he was. Because I don't know, I feel like even though he did like a really shitty thing in episode 1, I feel like he's genuinely grown on me. And like part of that is the acting. The actor is phenomenal. He's absolutely phenomenal.
Patty,
yeah.
yes. Patty, give him his flowers. Yeah.
I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss him.
But he and you know what? You could say that for the first part of this show, him and Matt Smith carried for the first part of the show until the second cast came up. But oh my God, I was just like I wasn't prepared to see him like this. I was shocked, and I was like, I don't know where this is gonna go next. You just see him lying in his bed, and he's skinny. He has his little neck taper, and one of his eyes is, oh God, he's so bad.
He's a husk.
It's just and you can see, the look in Rhaenyra's face, and Matt Smith, I think, really delivers in this scene because despite Viserys's, situation or his disposition, Daemon is like, hey brother, get off your ass. You can still fight the good fight and proclaim Lucerys as the rightful heir to Driftmark. He still believes in his brother, and that's very, there was always from the beginning, it was like, does Daemon want the crown? Is this what, is Daemon like, trying to usurp his brother? He was never about that,
He loves his brother.
He loves his
loves his
brother.
brother.
Yeah. And it was just like, you can't go out like this on your back, he pretty much said,
Yeah,
he wasn't even all there either. Like,
no, he wasn't. Oh yeah, but then like, I know that there's a lot of shock. Yeah, he smells it, and then like that was such good acting because he was like,
oh, he knew.
He had to smell it.
He knew exactly what it was.
Yeah, and everybody's favorite in Westeros, got a broken arm, milk of the poppy.
Milk of the puppy.
Got a runny nose, get him on milk of the puppy.
Milk of the puppy.
Give him milk of the puppy.
Goodness.
It's just, but yeah, I feel like that scene was just, even though it was very one note, that one note, I wouldn't say one note, I would say one big note and then very little small notes, like very nuances in that scene. But it was just such a shock. And I think the actors were just like, oh God, like they did a really good job acting because you can tell that was CGI.
Oh, for sure.
Can tell.
Right. Yeah.
But it was not fun. I felt like, oh no, my dad is now on his hospital bed and dying, not my dad.
Very emotional. I think the emotions were there, and then we get the later mini confrontation with Viserys and Rhaenyra talking to Alicent. They call her out. He's like, well, the advice of the Maesters. Oh, the Maesters. Because again, the long-standing theory of these Maesters are letting these kings just kind of wither away.
They haven't been doing anything. Look at this man. He's halfway to dead.
I mean, to
And-
Alicent's defense in this scene, she literally tells him, you guys need to see him without milk of the poppy, him being hopped up on it, because when he's not, he is so much worse off. And you kind of get glimpses of that throughout the episode, like, because he tries to kind of quit cold turkey for certain scenes in the episode, Viserys. And I mean, yeah, part of Alicent, I felt like she thought she was doing what she believed was best for her husband at the suggestion of the Maesters. Because what's the other option? Just let him
be in
die.
pain.
Let him be in pain, and then he either dies a lot sooner, or he survives the same amount of time, but it's just painful throughout the whole process.
It's portrayed greatly. It's a great juxtaposition because she does care. You know she genuinely cares about Viserys. However, we get that scene with they're tending to Viserys, and the first words out of like Otto Hightower's mouth is milk of the puppy. And even when Viserys is like, I want supper, Otto Hightower is like, oh, he's on an episode. It's morning, your grace. He's like, I know that, damn it, you fucking,
I'm sober.
you fucking vulture. Like,
Oh,
for
and
tonight.
And another thing about Otto Hightower is that no one came to visit them when they arrived. And this was in an earlier scene. And Otto Hightower, because they mentioned it in that scene with Rhaenyra, Daemon, and Alicent, that first small confrontation.
Oh,
But then,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and then Otto
Crazy.
Hightower's like, and you saw that they had a welcome befit their station.
Right.
And I was like,
right.
oh, wait a minute.
He knew what he did. He knew exactly
Who are
what
you
he
to
said.
say that? Oh,
He knew exactly
them
what he
fighting
said.
words. Them fighting words. That was round one. Round two is their little mini. Are we ready?
I think we
No,
are.
Dr. Rico, just say it. Oh, what's on your tongue?
Make your peace.
No, I was just gonna mention the scene again because the initial scene when we saw King Viserys in the bed was like the whole family bringing the kids, etc. I really appreciated the scene where it was just Rhaenyra and Viserys again a little later on, I imagine in the day, where you could just tell the weight of this on her, and she talks about the heaviness of carrying really the burden of having to be the heir, what it means, especially in being a woman, and how there wasn't a lot of really preparation, and there's also no like guidebook on how you do this. And so I really liked that scene too, because ultimately she was saying like, I need you to fight for me. Like, I need you to be on my side and to do something a little bit more than what's going on here, because no one here is on my side, especially her side, or ultimately her son's side as well on this fight for succession. So I really liked that scene too. I think the younger cast were great. No knock to them, but I think the two main actresses, I believe Emma D'Arcy and Olivia Cook, are really, really wonderful as well. So it was a great scene.
They're really
Yo.
stealing the show in these scenes.
They're carrying.
And I mean, that scene also is really important because the one with just Rhaenyra and Viserys, right? Is it?
Yeah.
Is it
It's
in
like
this
at
scene?
nighttime.
At night,
Yeah.
and this
yeah.
is where
Yeah.
she brings up the prophecy again,
Yes.
the Song of Ice and Fire. Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
And this is a
Okay.
very important scene.
Very
because
important.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but it was good to see Rhaenyra like be very vocal about the weight that he put on her, Like I feel like this was a lot of it was missing from Rhaenyra. I really feel like a lot of it was subtext. Now it's like actual text. Now we can go back and see that there's a lot of moments that maybe we were like, what was she thinking? Why was she thinking these things? Or why did she act this way? And it could be because of the weight that was, pressed upon her by her father. And I feel like this makes all those scenes kind of line up perfectly.
Oh no, she said it best too. She said, you naming me heir divided the kingdom more than it did bring it together. And you naming me heir is great, but now again, I really need you to reaffirm that decision, because up until this point, it's been pretty lukewarm. Him kind of reaffirming that, because he went and made a bunch of sons, and it was like, it's like you're setting her up to fail, So it's put your money where your mouth is.
And I think too, the bringing up the prophecy then, because especially with that line that you just shared of, at least this is how I read it, that's like, okay, you making this decision has divided the realm. If we're reflecting on the prophecy, we're all going to have to unite together to fight this thing that we don't know about that is coming though, that it's going to be destructive. And am I really the one who was going to do that? Because as of right now, it does not seem like that is the case. So I think it is an interesting time to bring up the prophecy, which does become really important, of course, a little later on in the episode. So.
Oh, and of course, this prophecy, this almighty prophecy that plays out so beautifully in the end of things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that Arya Stark was a Targaryen. Who knew?
Who knew? All right, here we go. Round 3. Greens versus blacks. We have the day of I forget what they call these things. Petitions. There we go. Petitions. We get a quick scene with Rhaenyra and Rhaenys before.
Great scene.
Great scene. Again, I think Rhaenys, she's the key here. She's key. They think she was complicit in Laenor's death. I'm telling you, he's gonna come back. I'm just saying that right now.
It's been 6 years, man. It's time to move on. He's gone. He is gone.
He's gone.
I thought he was about to bust through the doors at one point.
I object. What, like Shrek? No.
Oh man, I honestly don't know what's going through Rhaenys' head. I don't know, because at one point she says, when she makes the offer to marry the children to Luke and Chase, a generous offer or a desperate one, definitely both. But she says, they force you to your knees and now I must stand alone. I'm a little lost. Do y'all have a better insight of what's going on or what she's thinking? Because
yes, I do.
She's in a very, she's the key.
Yes,
but I'm lost.
Basically, she's like, if I stand up for you, you won't do the same for me. I'm going to be standing on my own. I have to look out for my own and my own house and my own family, because ultimately no one else will. You won't. You care so much about this family infighting, and I only care about protecting my children and my grandchildren, because I failed to protect, my children. So I want to do what's best for them.
Not including Vaemon, right?
Right? No, exactly. Yeah, not
like
Vaemon.
Because I guess that's why this offer is so great.
Yeah.
Right.
And then she says, and she's like, "But you're right. It doesn't matter." And then walks away. I was like, "Ooh, I have no idea where this is going."
I had no idea. I was like, I don't know what she's gonna do. All right, here we go. Let's do this then. All right, here we go. Shout out to the actor who plays Vaemon. I really like him.
I'm sure.
I do. He's good. Will Johnson is his name. He gives a mighty strong argument. And clearly the Hightowers are siding with him. clearly, clear as day. And yeah, he makes his point. Rhaenyra tries to interrupt his point. They shut that shit down real quick. They said, "You wait your turn. You wait your turn."
And
You
then
will
they
give-
remind her just to like stab a little bit deeper. The hand is fair, and we'll hear your petition like in a just manner, something like that. And I was like, oh, really? No, no, he's not.
Correct.
No,
No, he's not. No, he's not. And so he continues, and then he directs his argument at Rhaenyra, and he starts coming for her life. And he says, oh, I even get what he says, but he's coming for her now. And he says, what do you know about something?
He's like,
I'm-
well, I
Valerian
could
blood.
cut my blood myself.
I could
and
cut myself right now, and you still would not know it. I was like,
Right.
what?
he came for her. He came for her. He did
Mhm.
not. He was not having it. Those ain't my nephews. Damn it.
No. He only cares about
yeah,
one.
Yeah.
He only cares about one. He says, "Oh, well, yeah. We'll hold up." And then Rhaenyra's now it's her turn, and she's ready. And then, boom! Now entering King Viserys, first of his name, King of the Rhoynar, and all men in the realm. Let's just call this the long walk of King Viserys the First.
This was hard to
Ooh.
watch.
Hard to watch.
I felt such an influx of emotion. I almost teared up at this scene.
Yes!
I was like,
Yes.
I was like, oh my god. It
He's
was
here.
so. And Nick, you just see him trying and like hobbling and like.
He's got the mask,
Man.
the
He's
golden
got the
mask.
golden mask.
And
It's,
I think this was the scene I was alluding to as far as my favorite the series thus far. I think
Oh
because
yes.
we have been very critical of the series, and rightly so, but he has always at some point had some kind of realization, or when he is backed into a corner, he will move and make a decision, typically in a way that shows his care and his love and truly what he stands for. So he may not be a good king, but I think he really does care for his family, and particularly Rhaenyra. And so this felt very much meaningful. And I think too, the series thus far, we've had a lot of very purposeful, meaningful long walks. As far as the doors being thrown open and someone having their moment, between Rhaenyra had her own with the boar's blood, walking back to the camp, and Daemon had his coming back from over in
His multiple banishments.
yes, multiple, but the initial
What does
one
that
with the
word
crown,
mean?
after the stepstones. Alicent, of course, had her green dress moment, and so this felt like finally Viserys' moment to reiterate the fact that I am breaking down, but I'm still king, and I very much love my daughter.
He said it best. Let me just say this quote real quick. He looks at Otto Hightower and he says, "I will sit the throne today."
Your Grace.
I
He
just-
didn't backtalk. He didn't backtalk. He just let him do it.
I just feel like this. I think especially because we've seen Viserys' arc kind of culminate to this. This is a very bittersweet triumph, because we kind of know that this is the end. This is getting close to his end, because he's having this big character moment, which shows a lot of growth. He's been having these moments back to back. Last week it was with, "I'll cut anyone's tongue out if they dare say this." And then this week it's that he is finally coming to sit the throne and set matters right and try to make things right, where he sees fit. And it was a very powerful moment. It's a very powerful moment.
He said if he's gonna go out, he's gonna go out doing what's best for his family. This is all in the name of his family, blood or name, it don't matter. I think he views everybody here in argument as family. at this point.
Except Otto Hightower.
Except Otto Hightower.
I even think
Yeah.
Otto Hightower. I honestly think.
No, he got his ass
there.
out of there. As soon
mean-
as he ratted out his daughter, he was like, "No, get out. Nope, you're gone."
I know, but however, even he brought him back, and that's his wife's father. He's probably at the very bottom of the totem pole, but he was at that dinner table too. So, but he's like, and again, he comes out swinging. He says, "The one who knows what Lord Corlys would have wanted is Rhaenys. Go ahead, Rhaenys." And again,
we missed such an important part.
He said,
What we
"Why are
Where
we
he
here?"
no, where he trips on the steps.
Okay, sorry.
And-
Wow!
Leave me.
I can do it myself.
Wow!
And then
Go
he
ahead,
trips
go ahead.
again, and someone helps him, and then he's like, "No, stop it!" And then he sees it's Daemon, and his crown fell, and Daemon helps him up. I was like, "This is
Blown
quality."
away.
And
peak
Damon says,
television.
"Come on." He says, "Come on."
I felt
he's
the
like-
wind rush through my hair. It was
Beautiful.
fantastic.
Beautiful. Oh,
So-
my
So
gosh.
I don't know if this is true or not because I read it from like a Game of
I know
Thrones
what you're about to
fan
say.
page, and
I
I
don't
don't
believe
trust
it.
these things for the life of me because they're so full of shit. But apparently, in capital letters, apparently, that was something that happened by accident.
The crown fell off
falling,
on accident, and then
so
Matt Smith
just improvised and picked up the crown for
bull. I call
Viserys.
bull.
No.
And they
this
decided
is-
to keep it. I don't believe it, but I just wanted to put it out there
I
because
believe it.
I
believe
read
it.
it. You believe it?
This is like the sixth thing that Matt Smith has done on his character that has been the betterment of the show. Like everyone has been giving Matt Smith his credit this season.
So you believe the crown falling was an accident, and Matt Smith just was like, "Oh no, I'm gonna roll with it," and then he picked it up.
exactly. I
You're
believe
not.
it. I believe
No,
it.
Hell-
I don't believe that. I don't
That
believe
camera
that.
work was way too good. They were ready. for that
Viserys
crown
was
to fall.
into it too because he felt Matt Smith's hand. And he's like, I could do it on my own. I swear.
Oh, and they would have talked about it in that behind the scenes. Hell
They would have
no.
spilled the beans. They would have
I
been like,
don't
"Oh my
believe
god,
it.
Matt Smith is a genius." That was even part of the script.
I'm so glad we
Either
brought on
way.
Matt Swift.
Either way, it was a meaningful moment, I think, to reiterate that there's a lot we still don't know about Daemon and his perspective and his choices, but we do know that he very much does care about his brother, and he always has. And so this misconception of like, oh, he's toying for the throne, and like it's never been that. I think he's always just wanted acknowledgement and to be by his brother's side in some way that felt meaningful. And this was just kind of, again, very bittersweet that it's coming towards the end of Viserys' life, but it's a
Actually,
representation of that.
I think I think symbolism right there, as you said. He puts it back on his brother's head. It was always about that from the get-go. Just everybody's misperception of Daemon. And yeah, it's beautiful. He's still questionable at things.
Oh, yeah,
However-
he's hella sketchy.
Right. His love for his brother sometimes looks weird, but it's there. So now we have Viserys, and he's like, why are we here? This was settled years ago. And also, Rhaenys is the only one we should be listening to right now. It sucks that it comes from a man, but he's empowering the woman right now.
Yes.
He's empowering
He's
the woman.
empowering multiple women. Yes.
Right. And Rhaenys, I think she does what she does in the name of Laena. She wants Laena or Lenor's actual children to be on the throne of Driftmark. That's not Vaemon. So she sides with Rhaenyra, and says Corlys always wanted Lucerys to sit on the throne. And again, it's dramatic irony because Corlys don't care that they're bastards. He doesn't care.
He views them as his family, and that's
Yes,
all that's
the
important.
name. The name
Right.
carries more weight.
correct. And it's so good because it's like people think they're just playing this game to protect Rhaenyra, but it's like some people just don't care about these stupid rules, you know? And it's a beautiful thing. Viserys names Lucerys, his grandsire, the Lord of the Tides. He is named Lord of the Tides before the Seven, before the old gods, and before everybody there. And just when you think, oh, and the betrothals, he blesses the betrothals of the cousins. So,
and that worked out better for everybody because now the cousins or Daemon's children will have the Velaryon name.
yeah,
when they wed. So,
correct. And a Velaryon will still sit on the Driftmark throne eventually. I hope it plays out that way. Who freaking knows?
But Vaemon ain't having it.
Ooh, just when you thought it was over. Yeah, Vaemon's not having it. He says, you know, you break tradition and law to name your daughter heir. No one bats an eye.
He has his Joker moment.
Everyone has a Joker
This
moment.
did feel like one of the funnier episodes, I will say. Like there were a few things that made me chuckle throughout.
I mean, it was so well acted. I'm telling he's like looking them down. He's like looking at Rhaenys and he's like, all right, you're a clown. You and my brother were always clowns. Sure. He then looks at, he's like talking to the king and everyone's like, you better watch what you say. Your next words may be your last. And then, he dead eye looks at Lucerys and
this is no blood of mine.
That is no Velaryon.
And then Daemon with the
come on, say it.
See?
Because he wants to. He wants.
Oh no, and he's smirking. He is smirking the whole way, and he's like, "Y'all don't think I'll say it? Y'all think I'll say it? I'm gonna fucking say it." Oh God, I just pulled it up right now. Hold up. Can we all say it at the same time? You want to say it at the same time?
No, I do not.
No, we don't want to do this.
No, go ahead.
You do such a good
Sell
job.
the moment. Sell it.
Do it
Her
for us.
children are bastards, and she is a whore. Now again, one of Viserys' last little moments.
I'll have your tongue for that. He meant it.
The slowest knife draw you ever see. But when he got it out, there was some force behind it. But your boy beat him to it. And goodness, I gasped. I was like, damn. Like literally, I had to.
That was like
anybody...
a hot knife through butter. That was way too clean. That was way too clean.
Valyrian steel? Daemon's sword.
Yeah.
Oh
Valyrian
my
steel.
God. Cuts deep. Ugh. Anybody else felt that? I haven't felt like this.
It was a major gasping moment. I was shook by the accusation because we know what it means to call someone that in this type of show. And I was like, oh my God, he actually said it. So how is everyone going to react? And then the actual consequence happens immediately after. Speechless.
And Daemon's like, you can keep his tongue. Whew.
So
Oh,
knowing that I know stuff, I knew that he was gonna die. I just thought we'd get like, a neck cut, right? We'd like a beheading. So I was shocked in terms of the cut where that was occurring. I also I was taken aback. A little gas was let out.
And imagine your, what do you call it? I guess they weren't close with him, but imagine Laena's children who had to see their great uncle like just completely beheaded.
It's not a beheaded. It's like a 2/3
yeah.
beheading.
We can keep the tongue.
The tongue was there.
he technically kept his tongue still.
Yeah,
My
the tongue did not
question
get
is-
sliced.
Is Damon's knowledge of anatomy that advanced?
Oh God,
Yes,
no.
Where-
yes. Just leave it. Don't question it.
Uh,
That's what-
He studied
okay.
with the Maesters to make the best cuts ever.
I
First,
think he
cut
just
the-
knew. I know the tongue is
Wait
in
a
general.
minute. He cuts it at the angle.
He
cut
cuts
the
at an
crab.
angle.
The crab feeder was at an angle.
That's
Oh,
oh,
right.
the crab feeder was at an angle. Maybe he likes angles.
Yeah, maybe he looks a good angle.
What's
Something
Drake
about-
always say? Gotta hit the angles.
Oh.
Ew.
Okay, sorry.
Anyways,
What I was gonna say is when I shared this in our little Game of Thrones chat, shout out to the Discord, is that as far as the books are concerned, and I likely since it's already happened, I don't know if they will do this, but so Vaemon did die via Daemon, and then his body was then fed to Rhaenyra's dragon. That was the request. So it could have been worse. It was already bad. Just saying. You know.
It looks like the CGI went to the head versus, like I said, all our CGI money's going to this head slicing versus throwing a dragon.
No
in
more
the episode.
dragons. No more dragons.
They say
Instead of-
it's got to go to this. I just like to point out. What's the daughter's name? What's Allison's daughter's name?
Alicent.
Helena?
Oh,
Helena.
She
Helena.
is funny. She looks away and puts her hands over her ears. She goes just like that.
How is that funny? How is that funny?
Because why she put it over her ears?
I think she's coded to be like to have like what do you call it? She's coded to be as what we would consider neurodivergent.
Oh,
She's
okay.
also a dream seer.
She's a who? What?
She
dream
her
seer.
dreams.
Oh, which we'll
We've
get
talked
to
about
because
this- yeah, we've talked.
we
about
did
this.
talk about it, and I think she says something that I find very interesting during the Last Supper.
She said many a thing. So
Sh-
everything that
there's-
she says is important.
So there's one thing she says that I was like, oh, that's probably some foreshadow right there. We get a little funeral for Vaemon and Rhaenys get some closure. She says, she's been visited by the stranger multiple times, and the stranger does not care if my eyes are open or closed. Stranger being the Lord of Death, the God of Death. Nice little scene. I like lines like that. What do we say to the God of Death? Not today.
No, wait, no. The stranger and the god of death are two very different things.
No,
They
man,
both
that's the
represent-
stranger.
No. The god of death is like its own god, and the stranger is okay. So the the religion of the seven is that it's one god but with many different faces. So like with 7 personalities.
Oh,
So the stranger is like someone who represents death, but it's not the god of death, who is like outwardly like, I want faces, I want people's bodies and skin, I want their voices. You know what I mean?
yes. Either way, it's a nice little moment quote from Rhaenys. Because again, there goes another family member of hers dead.
Does she
I'm
care
sure
about
the-
this one though?
Yeah, it's just
she was indifferent. She didn't cry over it.
She's indifferent. However, it's like she's surrounded by death, and it seems to be Valarians more than anybody.
She's become numb to it.
Yeah, essentially. Yes, she's numb to it. I think this episode, goodness, you didn't think there'd be another big moment, but this Last Supper, shit was tense. And again, another testament to Patty. Patty came swinging. He says, everybody's here. Everybody's here. Rhaenyra's family's here. Allison's family's here. All the children are here. Not all the children. The young children are not here. But everybody's here. And he's just like, we got to stop this fighting. I love all of you. And if we can put our grievances aside, we will be better. And then he says this, and I love this. And this is Leo DiCaprio pointing at the TV, because they said the title. He says, the crown cannot stand strong if the house of the dragon remains divided. And it's like that very grim warning for the rest of the series, because we know what is going to ensue. And honestly, oh man, this scene just plays it so well. So he says what he says. It writes itself because he says what he says. And Rhaenyra gives a toast to Alicent, and it was like, that's an olive branch right there.
It had an apology in it.
It sure did. And Alicent accepts the olive branch. So then, again, I think this is symbolism. The mothers make their peace. However, it is the sins of the mothers and the sins of the fathers. I don't know the rest of that line, but it is the children who are the problem at this point. It is the children. They are too far gone.
Okay, well, I think, because comparatively of what we've seen, like in next week's preview, I think that like this olive branch is not, even though it was fixed and everything was fine, I don't know if one side is willing to just let bygones be bygones.
Oh, of course not. And again, it's beautiful because while Viserys is there, I mean, tension is still a bit high. However, Jacaerys gives a toast to his uncles. With the that college
bro.
That college bro.
You gave it the old college try. Now we're gonna be allies. We're gonna be friends.
Because Aegon kept poking the bear.
He sure did. He kept saying, "You know how to, Nino." Another cock joke. You know how to use your cock, right? You know where to stick it, Jace. And then, oh my God, how dare you hit on your cousin? You see how wrong this sounds? How dare you hit on your cousin in front of your sister, who's your wife? Yes, gross.
Sweet home Alabama.
All right.
There are perfectly fine folks in Alabama having lived there for many, many years. They're not the
Perfectly
Targaryens.
Which part again? Which part?
What was that?
Which part of Alabama? Where you
Auburn.
living? Oh, okay. Makes sense. We ain't talking the backwaters. Shout out to our backwater listeners in Alabama.
All of our listeners in Alabama, I apologize on behalf of our two Yonko here.
I just sang a song. I did not throw any accusations.
Actually, Alabama people probably love the Targaryens.
Oh my God.
Move on.
Sorry.
Also,
So
wait. In Alicent's olive branch acceptance, she also reaffirms Rhaenyra's claim to the throne.
Rhaenyra's claim, correct. And
Right.
Otto Hightower did not drink to it.
He did not. I noticed
He
that.
did not. He held it up and then he put it back down. That bastard.
He's
Don't
working
like
on
him.
his own agenda.
It's true. No, it's true. But goodness, can you just fake it till you make it?
Nope.
But no, he's very steadfast in what he believes. Helena reveals she gives a toast to Baela for being betrothed. She says marriage is not that bad. He just ignores you a lot.
Ignores you.
Except-
He's drunk.
Unless he's drunk. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Wow. The implications.
Things are not all right at home.
But
Hell
everyone,
no.
Also, wait a
everyone
minute.
laughed
I think
nervously.
I have to pause here and say how much of a freaking hypocrite Alicent is, because she was so very quick to be like, you Targaryens have
Your queer customs.
and then her children are literally married.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Pop off.
Hypocrite.
Alicent doing her best, man.
She was just trying to keep Rhaenyra away from the throne by marrying her children together. But yes, very hypocritical of her. We get the nice little Okay, symbolism. Ready? We get a nice little dance of dragons. Jacaerys is dancing with Helena. Ooh, come on now. That was good.
It was nice.
Is that intentional? The dance of dragons?
Oh wow,
There's
you know
a lot
that's
of
what it was?
dancing. There's a lot of
Okay.
dancing in this series. There's
But
dancing.
they
in
are
episode
both
3.
dragons. Oh, true.
There's
I
dancing
just-
in episode 5.
Yes, but now the pot has boiled over. So
I thought
now,
we were gonna talk about the pig.
no, the pig is next. The pig happens during
Well,
the music.
Viserys leaves 1st
Mhm.
before tensions rise, because Viserys leaves in the sense where like everything seems to be going perfectly. Everything, I think, in that last moment, he thought, "Wow, I finally did it." It took 20 plus years to get these people to work together and just get along, but we're here, baby. They're finally gonna, eat well together, and I can go rest. And then he gets
something
taken
we
up.
Sorry. Something we didn't mention was some of what Viserys said in his speech, as far as like I'm speaking as like an old man. I'm speaking as me being a human. I want you to see me as I am. He takes off the mask. I do find it interesting whether this is purposeful or not. That the side that was decaying, that he lost an eye, was the side that faced the high towers versus the side that was
Oh,
not
wow.
facing.
That was not.
I don't know
was-
if that was purposeful.
What? That was intentional.
Intentional.
intentional. That's intentional.
I do find that
They were-
interesting, but regardless,
They're
he wanted to be able to come as as a person rather than as a king holding all of this, and to really try to connect the family together. I thought that was really lovely. Patty, he'll be it. I mean, everyone's great. The cast is great, but he would bring it. He had at least one great scene.
Oh, Patty's the MVP of this episode, hands down. No
Of
doubt
this
about
season.
that.
Let's say it.
Of the
Let's say it.
season.
Of this season.
Oh, of the season. I might have to do
He
another
been-
watch.
Well, he been acting the house down. I'm just saying.
Every
was really good.
episode. He's been in every episode, and in every episode, he's had great lines, great
Mhm.
scenes, great acting. Every time I feel like he's in a scene, he's up here, and everyone's like trying to get to his level.
Yeah, I feel like with Patty, it's consistency. He's had more scenes compared to all the other, actors and actresses, and the lines that they give him are some of the best in this season. As much as we love Damon, sometimes Damon just shows up in an episode and just smirks
With this
and
little
walks
hood.
out the room with his little hood. And
He's
just walks
a body performer. He's very good acting alone
Right.
with body. But Patty delivers some really good lines. Yeah.
And
He's
even
gonna
when
be
he
missed.
doesn't, he still acts like good. Like a scene that doesn't have good lines is the scene where he was like, "Say it plainly." It's not a
Oh,
really
yeah.
great line.
Say it plain.
Say episode 3. That was episode 3.
Yeah. And no, it was episode 4.
Oh, sorry. I was talking about the other moment where it was one of the Lannisters that came up during the hunt.
Oh,
Yeah.
another great scene.
Yes,
Another
yes.
great scene.
He has many
So
good
they
scenes.
just been really milking Patty for everything he's worth.
Well, interestingly enough, so he eventually, succumbs to, feeling ill again, and they carry him out. And then just chaos erupts. And now that we're talking about placement of the table, Luke is directly across from our boy, Aemon.
Luke was the
And
one that took the eye, right?
Luke
took
took
his
the
eye.
eye. Luke
Okay.
took the eye. And the pig joke from way back when, I guess that shit still bothers him. After getting Vagar, the giant dragon.
How
You're
y'all
still
this
bothered.
brave? How y'all this like? I don't get it, man.
He just chuckled. It was nothing. And obviously the man is pressed. And he does the final tribute. To our nephews, Jacaerys, Lucerys, and Joffrey. Which again, that is not all their nephews. So this is very targeted.
Well, wait. I'm
Each
sorry.
of them-
Who are the ones that were left out in this?
The new
this
ones.
toast?
Rhaenyra and Damon's kids. Rhaenyra and Damon's
Oh,
kids.
oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
But they weren't even in the room though. Were they?
Don't.
Well, neither
Well,
was Joffrey.
Joffrey wasn't in the room.
Oh, Joffrey was not in the room. Okay.
No. So this is very targeted, and each of them handsome, wise, and strong. And I think Allison is over here giving him like these eyes are like, please don't fuck this up, please. And he keeps going. He's like, let us train our cups to these three strong boys. And Jacaerys is like, I dare you to say that again. He's like, it's a compliment. Why you getting so pressed about that? Oh, damn it. I just had it. I forget where it goes from here, but you know, he says, I dare you say that again.
They fist fighting.
Yeah,
yeah,
they just start
that's what
fighting.
happened.
Oh, I'm sorry. He says, do you think yourself not strong? Damn, man. I don't like him. But I like that I don't like him.
He's a good
cool.
villain. He's gonna be a good villain. He definitely looks like a villain with his eye patch.
He just
and
looks
he's
so
a-
much older than his
He's like-
oldest
his
brother.
face feels very pointy.
His face
Very
is
pointy.
very
Like-
pointy.
Like
very
Draco
pointy.
Malfoy, antagonist, pointy face vibes.
Yes. I'm getting dark elf vibes from him.
Is that
Yeah.
a Lord of the Rings thing?
No, just anything. He looks elfish. Because he's so pointy. Elves are known.
You just
to
think he
be
looks like Legolas.
I don't think he looks like Legolas. I think he looks more like actually the comic version of Malekith from Thor, who is
You
a
mean
dark
Chris-
elf.
You mean Thor: The Dark World?
No,
Is
I
that
don't mean the
MCU
film.
movie?
That's why I
Wow.
didn't say the film. That's why I didn't say the film.
Christopher
said-
Eccleston is very pointy, I would say.
I was not
Yeah.
referring to Christopher Eccleston. I was referring to the comic version of Malekith. He looks evil. He looks like an evil pirate. And he looks like he's ready to stir up trouble. Because the moment he says that, Jacaerys punches him, before Lucerys could do anything, Aegon smashes his head into the table.
Effortlessly.
Effortlessly.
Just boom. Just shook the entire table.
I'm like, come on, Strongs.
And
Put up a
Aemon
fight.
barely flinched from that punch.
Oh, Eamon ate it.
He ate it. He was ready.
And
He
then-
was like, all right, you got your free one. He was
To
about to
add
go in.
context, something a scene we didn't talk about was when they first arrived.
On
Aemon
the
was
yard.
training Kristen Cole. So he is quite known for his prowess in terms of fighting. So I imagine that's probably why he didn't really flinch and was pretty confident. So.
Mm-hmm. And then boys look weak. They don't look strong. I agree. That's a bitch compliment. Because he knows they're not strong. He knows they are strong, but they're not strong. They are strong, but they lack strength.
Appropriate.
I did like the face. What ended the scuffle was the face off with Aemond and Daemon.
Ooh.
Damon
Foreshadow?
stepped in. So does Aemon like kind of look up to Damon's antics in a
I
way?
think so.
Because like whenever Daemon made a move, the camera purposely would shift towards Aemon's reaction to like for example when Daemon cut Vaemon's head off, the camera looked to Aemon.
He's looking like
like he's like, oh, okay, so that's an appropriate response for something that I may disagree with. Like, is he kind of is he gonna try and model his behavior after Daemon?
I
think he's taking notes.
He's taking notes.
Yeah, I was about to say the Aemond is the equivalent of Daemon on the green side.
Okay.
As far as just well versed in battle and with fighting and etc. A little petty, maybe quick to temper at times, but also calculating when needed. So I think they're meant to. I felt that was purposeful because they're meant to be pretty similar to one another.
Is this the clash we're all going to be looking for?
What, Daemon
Daemon
versus
Is
Aemon?
Aemon?
I don't know if they're gonna clash.
We
I
still need. I still think we need more build up.
yeah.
Things are still.
I feel
simmering.
like Damon could probably likely take him if it ever came to that. Right now.
Well,
I
he has
don't
a
know.
bigger dragon.
He's got a bigger dragon, but like in a 1v1 sword fight, Damon's eaten.
But they have dragons. That would be boring of just a sword fight.
Clearly.
I'm telling you right now, Caraxes is long and slithery. He can, and Vagar is too big. He can slither on his back and just take some big old bites out. And Vagar won't even be able to turn his neck around.
You think agility's gonna win a battle like
Caraxes?
that?
Isn't it
Listen.
Syrax?
No. Damon rides Caraxes.
I thought you read
Rhaenyra-
Syrax.
No, Rhaenyra rides Cyrix.
Oh,
Yes.
I guess that makes sense because I guess Syrax is a girl. How do dragon eggs work?
Syrax is a girl.
Do they just meditate a lot and then like poop? It's a dragon egg.
I think
Yes.
they can be. They reproduce asexually. I think so. That's
Who
a
knows?
topic for another day. Well, we close off before we get the last song of Viserys Targaryen. We reunite with, her name escapes me, Damon's first
Mysaria.
wife. Right? What's her name?
Mysaria.
Oh yeah, this was a
Mysaria.
blink and you miss it.
She is the
Very
White
quick.
Worm.
What's that?
She's the White Worm. She's it's kind of the equivalent of kind of every secret keepers and like Master Whispers, but not officially. Kind of,
I thought you
Oh.
were gonna say master of whippersnappers, and I was like,
a lot of words were coming up. But she gathers some secrets and some intel and
She has a network.
yeah, and does what she
She has a
whatever's
LinkedIn
gonna kind of
network
yeah.
of
Well,
stuff.
it seems like it because homegirl ran to her and said, "Quite a night in the castle."
Yeah, I don't know what the whole point of this is because then we go immediately into the final scene, and I'm like, all right.
I don't know what I was
guess
supposed to
she's
feel
alive.
about that. Yeah.
She's
I
alive.
didn't get anything
Yes.
from it. She's gonna stir up trouble. That's what I took from it.
I took from it that they needed to have this actress in a certain amount of scenes, and so they were like, "We can give you another scene in this episode where you don't appear."
Remember, they're all important until they're not. So the fact that she's back means that she's probably gonna be pivotal in these last 2 episodes.
We'll see.
We shall see. So yes, we are treated to what I like to call the last song of King Viserys Targaryen, first of his name, King of the Andals, and the men of the Rhoynar, and the realm and the 7 kingdoms. Stupidly mistakes Alicent to be Rhaenyra, and he passes on again the tale of the song of Ice and Fire.
The fire and the prince who was promised, but all he can make out, they have him on so many drugs. All he can be like is Prince. The prince who was promised is the silent part, and then he goes Aegon, the conqueror, is the silent part, and then unite the realm from the very convenient set of words that he said.
And
Very
Allison
convenient.
says, "I understand," and walks away.
Ay, ay, ay.
That's all she needed.
Viserys.
That's
You
all
had
she
one
needed.
job. You had one job.
And it's his last breath.
And
I
he's
like his
But that-
last line. His last line. What is it that he says?
My
he
love.
says, "My love."
He
And
got.
it-
Do you think he got to see her in that last moment?
He's back. They're reunited.
That's lovely.
And that's truly,
Yes,
that
and
was
she's
his
gonna-
love.
And then she's gonna be like, "You fucking killed me, you stupid bastard," and send them down to wherever he's
Don't
going.
do that. Don't.
Is
do
there
that.
a hell in Game of Thrones?
I don't
I
know.
think they're living in it.
I think yes. The living is the hell.
Could
Yes.
be.
Goodness.
Clap it up. Pour one out for King Viserys the First, baby. He ain't a great king, but he did what was right in the end. Our boy. Shout
Doesn't
out to
matter.
him.
It still seems like it was all for naught.
He just, I mean, did he leave it a mess? Did his Last Supper, did anybody clear off the table? No. There's a mess, and someone's gonna have to clean it. So beautiful symbolism I just made right there. Quote me on that. Episode 9, in traditional Game of Thrones fashion, should be the biggest episode of the season.
Is that
Maybe,
a tradition?
maybe
Like
not.
the penultimate
It is.
episode is usually the biggest.
Yes.
Yes.
It usually has like the biggest action scene. Like let's look at all of them. I have them all memorized. Season 9, episode 1. Next Star dies.
The
at the end of
Baylor.
the episode.
The Baylor.
Yeah, the Baylor. Season 9, episode 2 was the Battle
of
of
Blackwater Bay.
Season 3 is
Red Wedding.
The Red Wedding. Season 4 is
The Watchers of the Wall.
The Wall. Watchers on the Wall with the wildling and the things attack. Season 5 is
Ooh, season 5
Hard
escapes
Home.
me.
Hard Home.
No. Hard Home is episode 8.
Oh.
Yeah,
And
Hard
it must be the one with the shame or whatever.
Yes, I think you're. Ooh, man. Give me a second. Hold your breath.
I'm holding it. I'm about to run out.
Hold it.
I'm passing out.
The Dance of Dragons. So Shireen gets sacrificed.
And Danny, Drogon comes in, wrecks shit up at the eyes
yes.
with the
Yep.
harpies. Yeah.
Right.
And then season 6 is the Battle of the Bastards.
Correct.
No,
We
no,
don't talk
there's no
about
episode
7
9
and
season.
7 and 8 don't have an episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
So what's usually saved for like the finale then? If like their biggest moment is in
The
the
Fallout.
penultimate episode.
It's usually the Fallout.
Okay.
Or in better season finales, it's usually like really good payoff and setup. In the last episode of season 3, we get the Misa moment with Danny. In the last episode of season 6, we get the explosion of the thing. Jon Snow.
Oh,
being,
okay, yeah,
The
I know what you're talking
Septon,
about. The
yeah.
Septon.
yeah, the Jon Snow being elected King in the North. The whole reveal of R+L=J. We had a whole bunch of things happen that
Okay.
episode.
Oh, the best
And
one was
Danny
season 4. The best one was season 4, though. You had the Hound versus Brianna Tarth. Beautiful fight. The Tyrion finding Shay with Tywin and Tywin shitting.
Mm.
I need not go on. Season 4 is the greatest of Game of Thrones seasons. With that said, it looks like we have another bastard on the way. If you watched the preview, I think that's a bastard. Somebody's bastard.
Wait, who? Oh, in the preview.
Yes, in the preview, there's a bastard. I don't know what to expect because I honestly don't know what they're
With
going to
white
do.
hair. Yeah, with
Yeah,
white
it
hair.
had white hair. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. What
Oh,
they're
yeah.
That must be Aegon's. That must be Aegon.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Because I feel like
we
Aemond is
haven't
too. Yeah, I feel like Aemond is too calculating. I feel like Rhaenyra is not popping out another baby that she doesn't care for.
Well, any kids from Damon would be older than what that baby is. So yeah, I don't think it's Damon's. But do you think people are gonna believe Allison? What does she do with that information? I mean, he's on the milk of the poppy. You know,
We saw Larys.
we did.
I mean,
He's-
it's her word, the queen, over anyone
And something-
else's.
Actually, thank you for reminding me of that too, because something that Viserys said for Rhaenys was, as far as her being able to speak to Corlys's wishes, I imagine Alicent may be able to use that
Ooh.
as an example of how she can get some support around this. His last dying wish was Aegon ascending the throne. So there's a
It's
lot
gonna
that's
be
gonna be
ugly.
messy. Yeah, Dance of the
Gonna-
Dragons is upon us.
The
Pretty soon.
dance of the dragon is upon us. We have what is now prepping for prom night before the dance of the dragons. The dates are set. The dates of who's pairing with who is set. Episode 9 will be the putting on the corsage, and then we're off to the dance. So quite excited. Episode 8, the King of the Tides. Who would have thought? Great episode. Any final thoughts?
Another stellar episode of Game of Thrones. Pick up the pace for the finale. I guess the penultimate episode, because that'll be the best one, supposedly.
Should be.
We'll see.
We're ready, people. We ready. Before we go, we pour one out for Vayman as well, the only one who wanted to speak the truth and had the balls to do so, but did not have enough headspace to walk away. So shout out to Vayman. But listen, folks, that's it from here, from us at the Yonko table. Thank you for listening to your various podcast stations. Be sure to follow us on all social media: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Make sure you follow us on TikTok. We got things popping on there. And of course, we new to Twitch. Dr. Jason Turney got big things popping on Twitch. Check it out. If you love to see our faces, check us out on YouTube. But without further ado, I'm your host, Grandmaster Hoop. Fellow
Your
Yonko,
Grand
Dr.
Maester? Was that what you were going to say?
Grand Maester Hoop. Fellow Yonko, Dr. Jace Attorney. And Supernovas, Dr. Rika and Nino Desposado. We're going to pour one out for King Viserys the First as well. And we're going to end it on 3. We all going to say our bastards, okay? And we're going to do it. We're going to do it right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Our bastards!